Right, that's it. We're live.
Hi, Nick.
Hello, Andy. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, mate. Very good indeed. So today we're going to be having a chat, you and I, about things to stop doing after 50.
Yep.
Now, I don't know about you, but I found that at 50, if I started hanging on to the things that served me well in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, they weren't something that were a good idea to carry on into the next part of my life. So, what are your thoughts, Andy?
Yeah. No, I had the same thing. So there are some things I think as you get older that you actually realise that you worry about that you don't need to worry about anymore. So I think it's important that we we talk about them and we're honest about it.
Yeah. So look, at the end of the day, what would you say to the people who are watching about this topic? Things to stop doing after 50.
What would I say? Well, so what you mean examples of it, or examples where we've done it?
Yeah. What did you change when what did you change after 50 that you kind of served you well before that?
I think it was sort of stop worrying about what other people think of what I'm doing. It's sort of I'll carry. I'll satisfy myself. It's satisfying my own needs, my own desires.
Right. Okay. That sounds interesting. You don't strike me as being a man who cared much about what people thought of you in your 20s, 30s, and 40s either, or is that wrong?
No, well, I did. You do and you don't. I mean, I didn't that much. Well, no, I did to a certain extent, but not completely. I think there's a release. So when you're working, when there's other people you're responsible to, you sort of try and meet their needs. You try and understand what it is that they want. You're not necessarily doing things just because you want to do them.
Okay.
So
the first thing that came to mind for you then is that changed for you after 50 was what? Stop caring what other people think about you.
Yeah, it took a little while to get there, but yes, it was stop doing that and start thinking more about what I want to do rather than be driven by somebody else's agenda.
Right. Okay. I hear you. Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one of mine. I mean, I put out a video on this topic a while back that has actually got a lot of views. It's been a viral video. There's been about 300,000 views at the last count.
Wow.
And one of the things that I put on there was that my number one was that one. It was just not as I put it, not giving a stuff what people think about you. After 50. The video talks about after 60, but really I would say I was probably in my 40s when I really, started thinking, I really don't care. I'm not going to change my behavior, because of to please other people. Because that's the problem when you start caring about what other people think about you, isn't it? That you become a bit of a people pleaser if you're not careful.
Yeah, and you start doing things that other people want you to do rather than what you want to do yourself. Yes.
Yeah, and that's a slippery slope to kind of unhappiness.
It can be, yeah, but I think it's part of the hamster wheel that you're on. That when you're working, when you're doing those things, you can't be completely autonomous. You can't completely not worry about what everybody else thinks.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, when you're in your 20s, when you're sort of carving out your career, and let's say you're working for somebody, because in my 20s I was working for somebody, it mattered to me what my bosses thought, because I mean that at the end of the day I wanted to get promoted, I wanted to get on.
Yep.
Yeah, I was less bothered about what my peers thought. I have to be honest, I was a bit confrontational with my peers. I don't know if that's the right word, competitive, but I was very much of the opinion that I cared what my bosses thought. And when I went into business and started my business, I very much cared what my employees thought, but not in a way that would stop me making tough decisions.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, while we're talking, Nick, it would be really interesting if anybody's out there and they've got any questions or observations or opinions while we're talking, it would be really good to share them so that we can share them with everybody else. So I think that's important we do that today.
Yeah, good point, actually, Andy. So I agree with you on that one. So this first point we're talking about here is stop caring what people think about you.
Yep.
Basically, what do you all think about that? The viewers, please, in the comments, let us know, and let's get asking questions. So how did that manifest itself then, Andy? So when you got into your 50s and you retired, yeah. Give us some examples of how you stopped caring what people thought about you.
Well, in all the things that I tried to do, it wasn't so much about what other people wanted. It was what I wanted. It was about being very, So I did have some work, but a lot of it was about me doing what I wanted when I wanted. So if it didn't suit me, I said it. Whereas in the past, I'd been more worried about, I could lose my job if I do that. I wasn't that worried about it. I was doing it for the enjoyment, not for the money.
Yeah.
So it makes you freer to do the things that you think are right and the things that actually make you feel more fulfilled and happier. So so that was what I had. That's one example. How about you?
Yeah, well, I think I didn't. I think the turning point for me was that when I retired, when I was in my mid-40s, I was quite lonely, I think, for a while. I wasn't lonely in the sense, I mean, I had my wife and my son, so I wasn't like sat at home on Billy No Mates lonely. But I'd gone from a full-on job with lots of people and just busy to struggling to find people to do things with. And as a result of which, I started hanging around with a bunch of people that I probably wouldn't normally choose to hang around with, if I'm honest. They were interested in sports that I wasn't interested in. I know one of them is your favourite sport, Andy, rugby, but I wasn't interested in rugby. I was a football man. I like football, not rugby, or soccer, as they call it in America.
Yeah.
And another sport that, even though I'm a Yorkshireman, I don't like particularly is cricket. I find it very boring. And I started hanging out with a bunch of blokes who loved the rugby, they loved the cricket. They invited me to the rugby matches, and I kind of just went along with it, for a while. And then eventually I just thought, I just don't like this. I mean, it's not me. I'm not enjoying it. So I just started to tell them that, look, I don't really like rugby, don't like cricket. I like other things. And anyway, cut a long story short, the invite started drying up. So after that experience, I decided I'm not bothered. I'm not going to hang out with anybody just because I'm lonely. Yeah, I'd rather be on my own hiking in the Dales than to be sat watching a cricket match with a bunch of blokes whose interest in me is I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, and that's how it manifested itself for me.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's really around. It's about getting to understand and know yourself better. So you try things out and you don't like them. I always think it's useful to try things, but
yeah,
it's sort of getting to that point much quicker where you say, well, actually, I do this, or I'm not interested in that type of thing.
Yeah,
I think that is important. So yeah, I mean, I think my examples are slightly different from yours because I was still yearning and chasing work.
Yeah.
But it was never really quite right. And each time it didn't get quite right, I sort of pushed back against it.
But that comes back to something that I've got down as one of the things that to stop doing after 50. And that's the whole job thing, the whole work, career, pushing it, that kind of thing. I mean, you'd had a lot of success up to your late 40s.
Yeah.
Then you found yourself, not there anymore for whatever reason. And were you still driven to carry on, taking on responsibility and all that kind of stuff, and keep going up the corporate ladder, keep going up the, up the ladder against the wall, as I call it?
No, it wasn't up the ladder. It was just using the skills and the things that I had and the things that I knew and the things I enjoyed doing to do something.
All right. So before that, then, if we wind back to when you were a director of a company, full-time employment.
Yeah.
You must have been chasing responsibility. You don't get to be a board director of where you were without pushing to be, to get up the ladder.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's chasing responsibility. It's chasing
Something, surely.
For me, it was interest. So, it was, if I've done something and I'm doing well, I want to try doing something else. So because otherwise I get bored.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was trying to find different issues, different things to solve, different problems to look at.
But you can do that. You can do that without jumping. Keep jumping, can you? You can do that without ending up being on the sort of main board of a PLC.
Yeah, but I suppose I've been there for quite a long time, so it wasn't jumping. I was moving around within it. So it was trying different things out. So I've always had that responsibility since I was young. But for me, it was more of trying different things.
So do you think once you get to 50 that you should, forget about chasing responsibility and accolades and awards and, that kind of stuff, building businesses? What are your thoughts?
No, I don't. So it depends what you do. So, I look at my wife. So my wife she's an acupuncturist, and she loves writing, and she chases accolades and awards and things like that through her writing. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's not if it's driving your passion. If it is your passion that's driving it, so it's something that you really want to do. I think that's key. So if that becomes something that you want to do, if you want to chase success or accolades or whatever it is, and that makes you feel good, then keep doing it. But do it for your own reasons, not for somebody else, not because somebody else thinks you should do it. And I think that's the important thing, Nick. It's not doing things because you think that other people think you should do it. It's doing it because it's what you want to do.
Yeah. The caveat to that is that once you get past a certain age, there are only so many years left on the planet. I think when you get into your 50s, and I think you've got to be careful not to be working too long. I mean, there's a book that I really like by a lady called Bronnie Ware, the Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, and I think it's number 2 in the book is I wished I hadn't worked so hard, right? And that was exclusively men. Men on their deathbeds in their 80s, 90s, whatever, all said the same thing, that they wish they hadn't worked so hard. Yeah. So the reality is that once you get into your 50s, I'm all for working hard, but not if you're going to be sacrificing other things, like whatever those things are that float your boat. So, for example, if it means you don't spend as much time with your family, or it means you don't spend as much time traveling and all that sort of stuff, or you don't spend as much time with your friends, don't spend as much time in your hobbies because you're still grinding it out, you're still on some sort of, hamster wheel, then I won't lie to you, Andy, I do think you need a bit of a slap.
Yeah, although some people are driven by it, Nick. I'm not one, but some people are.
I get that, but not if they're going to sacrifice what really matters.
Yeah.
Not if you're not going to spend time with your kids.
Yeah. Although some people don't like spending time with their kids.
Oh, saddos! They shouldn't have had any kids then, Andy.
No, they shouldn't.
Yeah. So for me, leaving behind the corporate world, one of the things I stopped doing was I stopped, chasing the things that I was chasing in my 30s and early 40s. I stopped chasing responsibility, and I stopped seeking, career steps and all that kind of stuff. And I focus more on my family. That was important to me. So you could argue that my secret sauce after 50 was a lack of ambition.
Yeah. No, I mean, mine was slightly different. So my kids are older than yours. So my kids are 10 years older than yours. So they were all away to university or settling down with their partners and in their careers. So it was slightly different. when I finish. I think it depends on the stage that your family's in. That is very important.
Yeah. No, I agree. No, I agree with you. So, I mean, what else would you say to avoid? I mean, the other thing that one of the things that I've got on my list of things to avoid is avoiding negative people, avoiding people that kind of drain your energy. In the video that I alluded to earlier, I talk about assholes and arseholes. Well, I talk about assholes, but I got pulled up. It should have been arseholes apparently because I'm British. But assholes and arseholes. I just stopped putting up with those kind of people. You can't avoid them. You encounter them. I mean, you and I encountered. Excuse me, I'm coughing now. You and I encountered quite a few of them when we joined that organization a few years back.
Did.
Yeah, that was that was an organization that was full of assholes. But when you encounter people like that, you've got, I don't believe in confronting them. You've just got to walk away from them. Vote with your feet.
Yep.
Yeah. So for me, avoiding negative people, avoiding arseholes. Trying not to let them get through your skin. You can't escape them. You'll meet them everywhere, but it's not making sure that they don't get through to you and affect your mood. I think. What do you think?
No, I agree with you, Nick, and I think it sort of expands into, don't have toxic relationships. It's decluttering your life of arseholes or people that you were talking to that actually, you don't really have a lot of time for, or you don't want to talk to.
Yeah,
it's that all those people that you wanted to avoid in the past, but you've sort of never quite really done it. All of a sudden, you can. There's the freedom to do it. Because what is the point? What is the point of spending time with people who are very negative, who are very, driving, always looking at the worst things and the negative aspects of it? Life's too short.
So, tell us about some examples of you decluttering people from your life, then, Andy?
Well, it's friends, it's people who acquaintances more that that I knew, but didn't really enjoy their company. That we happened to be in the same social circle, but they didn't add anything. They detracted from it. So it's just not involving them, not inviting them because they were part of the crowd. To be more selective about who you spend quality time with. And it is making sure that you hold that dear to your heart, that you do actually do it. And once you've done it, it's quite cathartic.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because you realise that all the interactions you have are much better. Fulfilling, they're more interesting. They're talking about things you want to talk about with people that you're interested in.
Yeah.
I
agree with that. That was certainly I alluded to it earlier on in the live stream when I was hanging out with the rugby cricket gang. It's the same. It's the same principle.
It is.
Exactly the same principle. You got to hang out with people whose company you enjoy.
Yeah.
Not because you're going to get a leg up somehow.
No,
you want to join some committee, so you hang out with people because you want to be on that committee, whatever it is.
Yeah. So I think it's about finding and determining your tribes.
Mm-hmm.
And the groups of people that you want to be with. So and it's people with similar interests or similar outlooks or similar aspirations.
And the key word here is tribes, plural.
Yeah, it is tribes.
It's not about founding a tribe, is it? It's about having different tribes that you can be a member of.
Yes, yeah. Which I'm a member of quite a few different tribes now.
Tell us about them. What tribes are you a member of?
Well, I run a group just locally, which is for retired professional men, which meets once a month, and that's one tribe. It's a group of people who we just chat. We just sit and chat for a couple of hours once a month.
Is that Men's Oasis?
That's Men's Oasis. Yeah.
So if anybody's watching this video from Wokingham area or the Thames Valley, get in touch with Andy. And he'll tell you all about Men's Oasis.
Yeah. No, and that's thriving. We've been going for a year and a half. That's good. So that's one tribe.
Yeah.
And another one is an organisation I belong to, which is called Probably 42, and we talk about bigger issues. So we talk about things and we put papers together. But again, that's retired men. We meet once a month in Thatcham, and it's online. You can find that if you want to, and that's very UK centric because we talk about UK issues. But I'm sure that they'd welcome anybody from anywhere in the world. You can join on the video thing, and it's an opportunity to put your point of view forward and have that discussion. So that's another tribe, very, very separate. Trying to think what else I do. There's us. There's the tribe of two, Nick.
The tribe of two.
And our viewers, in terms of what they're doing. There's another one where I'm part of a volunteering or a charity, and I do what I want to do within that, not things I don't want to do. There's probably a few others as well.
I haven't got any tribes, Andy.
Haven't you?
Well, if you count me and you as being a tribe, all right, that's a tribe, okay?
Yeah.
But not tribes like your Men's Oasis and your think tank and all that kind of stuff. Nearly everything I do is a tribe of two. It's me and another person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't like, for example, I like to go hiking and walking, but I do that just me and whoever I'm with, just one person.
Yeah.
I've got another mate who I go out with walking. A few people I go out individually walking with, but I'm not a part of a walking club.
Yeah.
The same with this. I mean, you and I doing this, but it's just you and me. It's yeah. So I don't do tribes. I do one-to-ones. I prefer to have a more, what's the word, closer relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I won't lie. I deliberately avoid tribes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So what you do is you fashion whatever your group is, to satisfy your needs and your personality and the things that drive you and make you happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know that when you're in groups of large people, you find it quite draining.
Well, it doesn't even have to be large people. It can just be a group of half a dozen.
Yeah.
Because what I found is that, particularly with men, groups of men, they do all start falling into sort of, it's like the Planet of the Apes with the alpha males and it's you find this kind of like thing going on. I don't know if that's what it's like in the corporate world, Andy, but I've observed it. As a man over 50, I've observed groups of men behaving, and they seem to be like a bunch of chimps in the jungle, and all the various roles. So I tend to stay a little bit clear of it. You've always got the extrovert, jolly one who's trying to make everybody laugh, and you've always got the miserable git. That's probably me. That's probably me, in fairness. No, it's not. Because you know me, I'm not. I wasn't that. In our group when we were hanging out in that organisation, I wasn't the miserable git, was I?
No, you weren't. No.
I was actually the one who wanted to help people, share my knowledge to help them do the thing. I wasn't the miserable git.
Yep.
But there were miserable gits in that group, weren't there?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and then there were the kind of sneaky ones, weren't there? There were the sneaky ones sneaking around behind your back, sticking the knife in you.
And it's ditching those, Nick.
Yeah, exactly. So when I talk about avoiding people and all that sort of stuff and assholes, I tend to think more about groups of people and tribes, if I'm honest. Because I haven't had a good experience with them. I don't mind creating my own tribe. That's what I did in business.
Yeah.
But, my experiences when I was in my 20s for working was a bit like Planet of the Apes with the chimps, and I didn't have any experience of it for 20 years, and then I experienced it again in my late 50s.
Yeah.
So yeah. So what else, Andy? Another thing I've got on my list here is to stop doing is expect too much of people. Just I've reached the point now where I have zero expectation of anybody. That way I don't get disappointed. And part of the reason why I think like that is that I've historically had very high standards and been a bit of a perfectionist. So then I have an expectation of people, and I tend to get let down. The same with behaviours. So I find now that don't expect anything of anybody. I'm not going to get upset. I'm not, What about you?
I still expect things of people. I do expect standards.
You do?
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that, you know, I don't want to lower expectations. I think it lets people get away with stuff.
Yeah, but you don't have to. You don't have to have those people. Back to the earlier point, you don't have to hang out with those people. You know,
No, you don't.
the way I sort of deal with it now is that if somebody falls below my expectations, that, you know, historically, if they misbehave, and I've got like zero expectations of them anyway, but if they misbehave and I don't like their behaviour, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't start thinking about, oh, I've expected them to behave differently. I just think, well, that's me done with them. Like
No,
life's too short.
no, I agree, but you know, I still have expectation of certain levels of service and stuff from the people that I get things from, and
Yeah. Well, what
so
about friends? What about friends though, and your tribes that you've just talked about? Do you have an expectation of them in any way at all?
I think it's a different expectation. I think it's because it's that tribe.
Yeah.
You've all got the same aim and the same values, and there's some people who join it occasionally who just don't fit, and do you know what? They don't stay very long because it's just not for them.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of these things, it's trying it out. But I do have expectations of the people within the tribes.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you and I are examples really of how two people can have a good retirement with have opposing views on just about everything.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So I think it's. I mean, one of the things that we've always talked about is the fact that, you know, during retirement, you have to understand yourself. You have to understand what it is that you like, and then go after it. And if you don't like doing something, then stop it. You know, it's like the organisation we were with. That, you know, we didn't like it. We just did not. It wasn't us. I think certain aspects of it I would have really enjoyed, but 95% of it I didn't. So it's not worth doing 95% of it which you hate for 5% which you like. That's a waste of time.
So stop doing stuff you don't enjoy when you're after 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put yourself first. Be selfish.
Put yourself first.
Do things you like. Yeah.
Yes.
That's that's Andy's message as I'm hearing it.
Yeah, it is. And you know, it's. I think because all these things link in. It's really hard to talk about them separately. So I think the other thing is overcommitting to obligations. It's, you know, it's, if you don't want to do something, don't commit to it. You don't have to fill every hour. It's, you know, one of the things I know you talked about is try not to stay constantly busy, and we've talked about this a lot. I'd like to have space, time to be able to do things I want to do when I wake up in the morning, and I think that's so important. You know, so when you're over 50, it's a case of doing the things you want to do. It's going back to, when I talk to people about it, I talk about going back to your childhood, and you remember what it was like in the summer holidays when, you know, you do as a child, you just do whatever it is you wanted to do. That's exactly the same. So, you know, if you do, and you don't get up in the morning going, oh, I must do this, I must do this, I must do this. You just get up and go, oh, I fancy like going swimming or playing football or whatever it is, or visiting this friend, or, you know, and then you do whatever you decide to do.
You do whatever you feel like doing without making any plans as such in advance.
Yeah, and you have happy. I mean, I have happy memories. I can't remember being bored in the summer. And it's the same now. I suppose one of the things is it's relearning all the things that you knew when you were a child before you actually started getting indoctrinated into whatever your career was and your life was and your identity, and you've got to earn money and do all these things which constrain you. It's actually getting rid of all those constraints in a way that takes you back to the way you were as a child and doing the things that you actually wanted to do.
Yep, I hear what you're saying. So, Andy, this might be a good time to remind the viewers to chip in with their comments.
Yep, or observations, or opinions. Yeah, if you disagree with us, great, that's fine.
Yeah, when we were talking about this beforehand, Andy was going to put things in the comments, but as always the case with Andy, he loves having a chat, and he hasn't posted anything in the comments yet.
because I can't post anything in the comments.
You can't post anything in the comments. I thought you said you could. Well, you didn't tell me that. So all right, so I'll post it. I'll post something in the comments then for people. So I'm just typing on my keyboard. So apologies if people can hear the clickety clack of the keyboard, but I'm just going to put something into comments. Here we go. What are your thoughts? There we go. What are your thoughts? So I'm interested. What are your thoughts, people? Yeah. What are the things that you think you should be stopping doing after 50? Let me just press the button and hopefully that'll appear. What are your thoughts? Has that pop up? And then if I click show, what are your thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we would like to hear from anybody who's watching this this live stream. What are your thoughts? What are the things that you should stop doing after 50? Have you got any observations or opinions about what Andy and I have been talking about? I mean, so far we've talked about, stop worrying about other people's opinion. Stop putting up with negative people, assholes, arseholes, whatever you want to call them. Yeah. I believe, but Andy disagreed with me, that stop having expectations of people, but he thinks you should still have expectations of people. What do you think? That's what we've touched on so far, isn't it?
Yeah, and we started going into about trying not to stay constantly busy.
Yeah,
about creating space, because I know that's something that we've talked about a lot in the past, and it is about.
So why do people strive to keep busy, Andy? What do you think is going on in their heads?
I can only guess, but I think it's trying to replicate what you did when you were at work. So when you retire and you stopped doing it, you were busy. You always had something to do. You had structure around it. You didn't have to think about what to do next. It was all there on a plate, whether you like it or not. But you were constantly busy. So you were constantly doing things at work, and then when you get home, you've got things that you have to do at home.
So work is routine, isn't it? Routine, meetings, you name it. Whoever that is with. Yeah. And then suddenly you don't have that anymore.
Yeah, you don't have a diary. You don't have anyone. You don't have anything forced into it, and it's a vacuum. It's a void.
So do you think what you're saying then is that people try to keep busy to fill the void?
Yeah, because you feel lost. I mean, we've talked again about it. If you haven't thought about and planned your retirement, planned going into the later part of your life properly, you end up with a void. You end up feeling lost. You end up thinking, "Oh, there's something missing." You don't quite know what it is. And with any change, if you read all the books around change, it always says that what you try and do is you try and revert back to the things that you used to do. So you don't let go of the past because you've got nothing to grab hold of in the future. It's really hard to take that leap. So that's what I think. I don't know whether you agree. I probably don't.
I mean, some of the filling the void. Yeah, no, I do. I mean, I went from being very busy to not having much to do, and it was very hard for a while. But and I think it's only in recent years, I think, that I've kind of chilled out about it.
Yeah.
So which is why I tell people, or why I say to people, this is an important one about, don't chase responsibility, don't try and keep busy. Yeah. Because I think I did to some extent. But it's only in recent years that I've kind of like become a lot more chilled about it. Yeah. Because what I've noticed, particularly when I've gone past 60, never mind 50, but 60 particularly, is that I find that my energy levels and my enthusiasm for things ebbs and flows on a daily basis. Yeah. So I can't guarantee that I'll be full of energy every Monday, or even the gym. I don't stick to a routine with the gym anymore. I just don't do it. I don't have like Mondays legs day, Wednesdays chest day. I don't do that anymore. Yeah. I just make sure that 2 or 3 times a week I go to the gym.
Yeah.
But I go to the gym when I feel like going to the gym.
Yes.
But I do discipline myself to go because I know it needs doing. It's like walking. I like to walk 5,000 or 6,000 steps a day, but that's only a weekly average. I don't try to do 5,000 and 6,000 every day. I just make sure that I'm doing 5,000 or 6,000 average over the course of the week, because some days it's absolutely pissing it down. I might only not get out. I might only do 1,000 steps.
Yeah.
You know, some days I just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
You know, even with the YouTube, which kind of goes slightly against what the gurus say about YouTube. I don't always post on the same days because I don't always feel like doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So therefore my posting is a bit more is fairly erratic. But I do like to get out at least one video a week, sometimes two. But I can't say definitely it'll be every Monday and every Friday.
No,
You
and
know,
I think that's right.
You know, and I like to putter as well. The other thing is I don't do much in the morning, and I'm happy with that. I get up reasonably early, 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I like to just putter around, read the newspaper. Well, not the newspaper, but read the news online, read things. I don't even know why I said that, because I don't read the news. I read things in newspapers, but not the news, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
you read things of interest.
Yeah, so I will read the newspaper, the online version of it, but I won't go anywhere near the news.
Yeah,
I'll read things, like what are the best stock cubes, for example, from is it Marks and Spencer's or Waitrose or wherever, that sort of stuff. Yeah. And I'll read and I'll putter, and I watch YouTube videos in the morning, and I don't really do much before about 11 o'clock, just putter around.
Yeah.
And it's only, I would say, in the last few years that I've kind of felt like that, and I think I've got you to thank for that, because I think I was pretty regimented and structured and trying to do the same things on every day, at the same time, Whereas now I don't. I still like to get things done, certain things done during the week. And even the month, but not to the same regimented, systemized way as before. But I still like to get things done.
Yeah. So I mean, that's another thing you've talked about with setting goals. I know, but I mean, the thing with busy, I always at work. There's a phrase that we coined, and there were lots of busy fools.
Yeah.
And people who were very, very busy, but not really achieving very much, going round and round in circles. They were constantly there, constantly doing stuff, but not really achieving very much. And it always seemed a bit pointless to me.
I agree with you.
And it's doing tasks for the sake of doing tasks rather than doing tasks because there's some need for doing it.
So after 50, and particularly in the retirement years, you should be doing tasks because you enjoy doing them.
Yes.
And you should be doing stuff when you have the energy to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting. One of the comments on the video where you talked about 5 things you don't do anymore. One guy did come back and say that he had other things. I think one of them, just reading it, don't read the news. It just irritates me. So I think his comment, I think it sort of reflects what you're saying.
The wonderful thing about the comments is that lots of people do parachuting and disagree with me to some extent.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy with that. I think you should disagree with me, state your own opinion.
Yeah.
Got to be done. The only thing I sort of draw the line on is when they start getting a bit personally abusive. Because they don't get to the comments. They don't find their way to the comments. I don't know if they understand this, but YouTube's got this algorithm where it kind of finds those people and they don't get anywhere near the comments. Or if they do, they sneak in for briefly until you kick them out.
Yeah.
Because even if you disagree with somebody, there's no point getting personally abusive about it. If you disagree, you disagree.
Well, we disagree about a whole load of stuff. So
you and I only agree on 10% of stuff.
Yeah.
maybe 20%.
Maybe 20.
Yeah, but I agree. But I do agree with you about the busyness thing. I think you shouldn't beat yourself up about being busy, being productive. And all that kind of stuff, despite the fact that you have standards, you want to get things done and you don't want to feel useless, but at the same time, there's no need to beat yourself up about it. It's all right to chill out and do nothing, isn't it, Andy?
It is. It's fine.
Yeah, it's literally nothing. It's all right to lounge around in your pajamas, and your Pink Floyd t-shirt, until noon if you want to. Just don't do it every day for 365 days.
No, please don't. Well, no,
don't make that your daily lifestyle.
Don't make that your routine.
No, do it from time to time, as because you just don't feel like it.
Yeah,
that's the reality, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So viewers, what do you think? Do you think you should keep busy? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Or do you think it's okay just to chill out and do nothing much at all. We'd be interested to hear your views. Andy, you mentioned something a little bit earlier, goals. You mentioned it
Goals.
earlier. Yeah,
Yeah.
goals. Yeah, now look, I've got the thing about goals is that I do think you should have goals. Yeah. But I've simplified my goals. I think one of the things you need to stop doing after 50 is having complex goals and complex goal setting systems and even real serious long range and long term goals. I'm not big on them anymore.
Yeah.
Now I think my goal setting system is really simple now. I've got notes on my iPad. I've got yearly goals. I've got quarterly goals, monthly, weekly, and daily, and they all feed to each other. And there's never more than 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I've got 3 annual goals, all the other goals link into it. So the 3 quarterly goals link to the 3 annual goals and such on like that. In fact, I think once we start getting into like monthly and weekly, they become more tasks related to the goals.
Yeah.
So whereas once upon a time I'd have had serious spreadsheets, linking into each other, 5-year plans and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. But I do have goals about things, like fitness. I like to set goals for my fitness, and I do have bucket lists of things, places I want to go and see.
Yeah.
So they're goals. But nowadays I like to simplify them. What about you, Andy? What do you think about goals? Do you have any? Have you got any goals?
I have some. So I have a bucket list of places I want to see.
Yeah.
Things that I plan ahead for.
Antarctica.
And I'm going to New Zealand next year.
Yeah.
For 6 weeks.
All right. So travel places around the world are on your bucket list as goals. What else? What about non-travel goals? Have you got some goals for Men's Oasis?
No. Well, the goal is to keep it going, to just make it interesting, make sure that people are aware of it. But it's sort of.
Is there any goals for members then? Like you want 50 members or 100 members? You're not driven like that anymore.
No, that's too many. So there was an opportunity to expand it, but I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. So part of it is this thing about not having too much of a routine, not filling it, not being too busy. This thing could take off. I could do it in all the libraries in the area, and then that goes from half a day a month to 5-10 days a month, and it's not something I want to do constantly. It's something that I enjoy doing every now and again.
So what other goals have you got, Andy?
Not that many, to be honest. I mean, but I never really have had. I've sort of had big long-term goals. But it's I'm not motivated in the same way as you, as putting plans and all that sort of thing, detailed plans and spreadsheets and all that sort of thing. I never have been.
Don't have the plans and spreadsheets so much anymore. It's just notes now. But I still need a little bit of structure and things to aim at. Like this channel, for example. When I started it, I did set the goal that I wanted to have 1,000 subscribers by after 12 months.
Yeah.
But that's partly because there seems to be it's like a you kind of become something on YouTube if you've got more than 1,000 subscribers in YouTube's eyes. So I sort of said, well, 1,000 subscribers. I mean, obviously, stuffed that goal out of sight, 10,000 subscribers, but I don't have any goals for it now. I don't have 100,000. To my mind, I just wanted to get to 1,000. Wanted to try and help as many people as I possibly could. I didn't set out saying, I want to help 1 million men over 50. Find purpose. I'm not into those sort of goals.
No, and if I take Men's Oasis, mine was exactly the same. It was setting it up, seeing how it went, getting to a thing where I haven't been to some of the meetings because I've been away. But the events, it's still gone on. So what I've created is something that that has a purpose for a lot of people. Same as you. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy going along and doing it. That's it. It's sort of. So I've achieved the goal of making it sustained.
So you don't want it to be a global phenomenon then?
No, definitely not.
So Andy, we've covered off 5 things there. People's opinions, not stop being bothered about people's opinions. Stop caring what people think of you. In other words, expectations, avoid negative people, simplify your goals, and stop trying to keep busy. What we haven't talked about is some of the kind of other things. One of the things I've written down here on my notes is stop buying stuff.
Stop buying stuff.
Now, when I moved house a few years ago into my modest townhouse in the centre of York, I got rid of. I must have got rid of 75% of my stuff. And I won't lie, it was what's the word? Is cathartic? Is that the right word?
That is the right word. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cathartic. It was like a great weight lifting off me. Clothes, lots of clothes. Just I either sold them on eBay or I gave them away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either or. Tech gadgets. I mean, I had drawers and drawers full of obsolete tech. Mobile phones.
Yeah.
Probably some of them I sold bizarrely. I mean, people were buying my 20-year-old Nokia phones, and they would buy. I had an iPod Generation 3 that I got in America with a kind of wheel on the front, and it was quite a thick thing. Somebody bought it.
Yeah.
I had loads of those kind of things because back in the day, I was a man who tended to want the latest thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't sell the one that I had when I got the latest thing. I just put it in a drawer.
Yeah.
So, so I might have had about seven iPods for the sake of argument, but I never sold the one before. Whereas now what I do is that if I want the latest thing, or I do want a gadget, I only want one.
Yeah.
And I sell the other one.
Yeah.
So I have just invested in a new camera for YouTube, but it's not new. I bought it on eBay.
Yeah.
And I've sold off the one that I was using.
Yeah.
So now, and that's what I've started doing now. Same with the phone. I haven't got a new phone, but my son's getting a new phone. We're buying him as a present, and I'm getting his old phone, iPhone 13, and I'm going to give my iPhone 11 to my wife. Whereas in the past, I'd have been alongside him buying the phone as well, and I'd have thrown my phone into the drawer.
Yeah.
So there'd have been 10 iPhones in there. So I just stopped by cars. I think I maxed out at 4.
Right.
Yeah. My wife had a Mini. I had a Mini. I also had an SUV, and I also had a sports car.
Right.
Yeah. Now I haven't got a car.
Yep.
My wife's got a Mini convertible, an old one.
Yeah.
And I only bought that because I saw your wife had a Mini convertible, and I thought, oh, that'd be nice if I got Sharon one of them.
Yeah.
So I've completely changed my views after 50 about buying stuff. Because I'm more interested now in experiences. I want to experience life, not buy stuff.
Yeah.
You get a lot of people commenting about how they love the motorcycle collection and all that. And great. I'm not saying don't do that, but that wouldn't work for me.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Andy? You don't seem to have a lot. I've been to your house. You haven't got a lot of stuff. Well, you've got a lot of files piled up and papers piled up on top of things, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of. There don't seem to be a lot of kind of like possessions like tech and stuff like that. Just a lot of magazines and books and stuff.
Yeah, there's lots of things I read. So I've been through. I haven't been through quite as drastically as you. But I've still got some tech that's old that I need to get rid of. But most of it, things like iPhones or iPads, I tend to trade it in. So if I buy a new one, I trade the old one in.
And of course, you're driving. I don't know about your car situation, but you picked me up, and it was a bit of an old banger, wasn't it? But it must have been about a 10-year-old Volvo.
Yes, 10-year-old Volvo. I've always been like that with cars. I've never had the same sort of thing as you with cars. I've kept them for 10 years.
So I'm preaching to the converted then.
Yeah, although I would say I've still got a lot of clutter that I need to get rid of. I've got boxes and boxes in my garage that I haven't looked at. Some of them go back 2 or 3 moves, and I just need to go through them. But it's a job I need to do, but it's not a priority. But I'm the same as you. I like experiences. So I'm going away with my wife to Venice for her 60th birthday. It's an experience that we want to do. It'd be really nice.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. So travel it plays a key part. I can see in your life. You like to travel and see things because you do road trip around the UK and all sorts, don't you?
Yeah, and we've got a flat down by the coast, which is really nice. That we go down to a couple of times a week. a month, and it's sort of, it's like a mini holiday. It's a mini relax. We've just spent a couple of days down there, and we just go out for a walk in the morning, just wander around, takes it where it takes us, wherever we want to.
Yeah,
Enjoy each other's company. A lot of exercise, lovely by the sea, and that's fine. We enjoy doing that. When we stop enjoying it, then we'll do something else.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like you and I are on the same page with regards to stuff. You probably got there earlier than me by the sound of it, and it's more about the emphasis is on experiencing life.
Yes.
Yeah. But there's nothing wrong with having a collection of motorbikes if that's what floats your boat.
No, there isn't. And again, it goes back to, you need to do what you want to do, what you find interesting and you find enjoyable. One of my brothers loves car racing. He's in his 50s now.
Yeah.
And he's got a Porsche, he's got a Lotus Elise, and he's got his company car, which also happens to be a Porsche. But that's a passion of his, and that's great. Not for me, but it's great.
Yeah.
And that's good.
No, I agree. I mean, I've come to the point now where I just think about the cars as being a functional thing. Get me from A to. I mean, I will get another car. I mean, I say I haven't got a car because I don't need it. At the moment, I don't. I mean, you know the issue with regards to me and travel at the moment. I'm not traveling much because of my gallbladder problems.
Yeah.
But once that's resolved, I will travel more, and I will want to drive around the country more.
Yeah.
So, and I've got my eye on a Tesla. That's what I want to get. But the reason I want to get that is it's functional.
Yeah.
I'm not a petrol head. It's comfortable, A to B. And that's an easy to maintain. I don't have to worry about the oil and all that kind of stuff. That's why I'm thinking of getting one of those.
Yeah.
All right. So we agree on stuff.
Yeah.
We're nearly on the hour, Andy. Just about another 8 minutes or so by the look of it. Yeah. What are your thoughts? Anything else to add to things that you should stop doing after 50? We haven't had any comments. Anybody asking us any questions as usual, Andy? We'll have to work a bit harder at that one.
Yeah, we will.
Anybody who is still watching, is there anything you'd like to ask or any points you'd like to raise whilst we're on? Please feel free in the comments. Drop them in the comments. So Andy, anything else to add?
I think there's one thing it's sort of that we haven't talked about, and that's stop ignoring your health needs. Again, one of the guys that put a post on there said, what did he say? Don't do things that could damage your health. It did sound quite extreme, like skateboarding.
All right. So stop doing things that will damage your health.
Yes.
Or could damage your health.
Well, I think it's stop ignoring your health needs. So I think when you're younger, when you're into your career and that sort of thing, you can get to the point where you ignore your health needs. You're so busy you haven't got time to do it.
Yeah, true, 100%. I mean, I'm like that.
I was like that.
I was like that. That's why I've got gallbladder problems, Andy.
Yeah. Well, I put on a massive amount of weight. I couldn't walk very far. My knees were buggered.
Your gallbladder as well. You had your gallbladder out.
My gallbladder taken out.
Yeah. You're a wreck. You're a wreck, Andy.
I know. You're catching up fast, Nick.
You're a human version of your Volvo, aren't you?
No, I think my Volvo's in probably a better state than I am.
Better condition than you. No, you're right though. You should stop neglecting your health. Is what you're saying.
Yeah. So I probably do. I walk. I probably do about 8,000 to 9,000 steps on average a day. Some days I do 17,000 to 20,000 steps. Other days I do before. I don't think I ever drop down below 3,000 or 4,000 a day, even when it's bad weather. But I do that and I enjoy it. I used not to enjoy it because it was painful and everything else. But it's paying attention to all those things. It's making sure.
Yeah. So stop eating the whole packet of biscuits, Andy.
Yeah. Well, stop eating biscuits.
But if you are gonna eat biscuits, don't eat the whole packet in one go.
Yeah, that's very hard. That's a different issue. I don't want to go there.
Tell my wife that one.
Yeah.
Never been a problem for me.
No, it's not a problem for my wife. But once something's opened, it's calling to you all the time to finish it.
Yeah, I've never been like that, but I understand it can be a bit like that.
Yeah.
I found that I didn't exercise enough in my 20s and 30s. Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, and I didn't eat healthily enough.
Yeah.
That was it. But I was never one for finishing the whole packet of biscuits, Andy. So
No.
Cyril's popped up a comment. Stop taking your good health up to the age of 50 for granted. Yes, Cyril,
Yes.
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. But the thing is, Cyril, people continue to do it. They carry on going.
Yes.
My father-in-law is in his mid-80s now. He's a type 2 diabetic. And he's still doing it. He's still behaving like he's an immortal. We have to kind of hide things from him. The only time he has a healthy life is when we go on holiday to Portugal, and me and my wife are putting him on a Mediterranean diet.
Yeah.
When he's out of sight, he would eat the whole packet of biscuits. He'd be raiding the fridge at night and all that. And he's in his 80s,
Yeah.
and he's got type 2 diabetes. He's got all sorts of problems,
Yeah.
all caused by that. So a lot of people do carry on, but you're right. The habits that they build up, as you rightly point out, Cyril, they build them up before 50 and then just carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is hard to change.
But you think you're immortal. You think it's never going to happen to you, don't you? When you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s.
Of course you do. Of course you do. And sometimes even in your 50s.
Yeah.
It's just that I think Cyril's right. So from your 50s onwards, it's sort of.
But the thing is, Andy, can you remember how to pronounce Cyril's surname? Oh, you sad man! It's Mulcahy.
I would have probably got there in the end.
Yeah. Do you know how to pronounce my name?
Yeah, Ma.
Correct. Well done. Well done.
Yeah. I mean, you beat me up so many times about it. Do you know how to pronounce my name? Because a lot of people actually.
It's Mac Norton.
Mac. No, it's Mac Norton.
Mac Norton. That's what I said.
You had a in it.
No, Mac Norton.
That's better.
It's not Mook because it's got an A in it. Mac Norton. It's an easy one.
It is.
Yeah. And your other name's pronounced Andy.
That's right. Yeah. And I don't know what your other name is.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I'm glad my mum and dad. My dad was Irish. I'm glad he chose Nick instead of. I mean, he could have chosen O'Sheen or something like that.
Yes.
That'd have been interesting. Yeah. So your health. Yeah, you're right, and Cyril's right. It's the one thing that once your health has gone, what is life like?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think as you get older, it's it takes longer to recover from things, and you're not quite as and there are bits of you going wrong.
Yeah,
and you know all about it.
After doing this live stream, Andy, and listening to you, I just think I'm going to have to start enjoying myself.
You will.
Yeah.
You have to find more tribes of two.
No, I don't want any more tribes.
I do.
No, I'm going to have some tribes, but I will create the tribe. That way I don't have to do all that play acting to kind of, get into the tribe, get to know everybody, all that kind of stuff, because I'll just be the first. I'll start the tribe.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's it. No, so that was a very valid point, Andy, about neglecting your health. And linking to that then, which I think links to that, stop taking time for granted. Yeah, that's the other one. Stop taking time for granted.
Yeah.
It is later than you think.
Yeah.
Not wishing to sort of get all morbid on the topic, but my understanding is that the modal age of death for men in the UK is 87. That's the most common age that people die. Okay, apparently. But the average age of death is less than that. I think the average takes into account people dying at all sorts of ages, doesn't it? But the average age of death is about 82, 83, something like that. Yeah. And, I'm 63. You're 62, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I kind of hit the average of 83, that's 20. That's only 20 years.
Yeah.
I look back to when I was 43. That's only 20 years ago, and that just seems like yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, 43 to 63 passed pretty quickly. And I remember things from when I was 43 because they were just so recent.
Yeah.
Well, that same timescale could be the date of my death.
Yeah.
And I find that not scary, but that to me, I find that an impetus to do stuff.
Well, to make the most of what time you've got left.
Yeah, absolutely. But linking back to your previous point about health, once your health kicks in, it can sometimes mess that up.
Yeah.
Like my travel plans at the moment are all over the bloody place because, as I've said to you, I've got to be very, very careful. I like to know that I'm near an emergency room, if I get a severe gallbladder attack.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not with you on an icebreaker in the bloody Antarctic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it does mess up your plans.
Yeah, it does.
So your health, and so I don't think you need a health scare to make you realize that time is ticking, and you shouldn't take it for granted.
Yeah, no, I don't think you do, but that's what most people wait for.
Yeah. So has anybody else watching this got any views on it? I mean, Cyril kindly commented. Anybody else? What do you think? Please, let's make this a discussion. What do you think? Say something in the comments if you have opinions about what we've been talking about. So, Andy, what else? So, taking time for granted. Anything else that kind of springs to mind?
I don't think so. I think a lot of them are variations on the things you've talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, something that we don't touch on that much. I think another thing is overthinking your retirement fund. Yeah.
So what's that stop then? Stop overthinking your retirement fund. What do you mean by that?
I think it's important to budget and manage money, but if you're just worrying about it and trying to squeeze the last bit out of all your money,
yeah,
that ends up being obsessive. It ends up being something that drives you rather than just releasing yourself from all that burden. And if you haven't got enough, fine. But if you have, you don't need to. You don't need to keep worrying about it. You can have a balanced approach, and you've still got peace of mind, and you can still do all the things you want to do. But you never ever know. Today might be my last day on this planet. I don't know. I hope not, but it could be. And if I've spent all my time worrying and planning all that, waste of time, absolute waste of time.
Yeah.
So,
Andy, I'm glad you brought that point up. Really, not the financial thing, because I tend to steer clear of finances.
Yeah. No, I'm not. No financial advice or anything.
Yeah, the reason I stay clear of financial things is because I think everybody's got their own personal thing, and everybody's got their own number. That's enough. That's enough. So I tend to stay clear of that. But the one thing that I did pick up there that I think you're right about is stop worrying. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I don't know how I missed it, because one of the things that has been transformational for me over 50 is that I don't worry about something that is going to happen if I can help it. I mean, like this gallbladder thing, I try not to worry about it.
Yeah.
I just live each day as it comes. Money, you're correct. If there's a monetary thing in the future, try not to worry about it. Seize the moment, live in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a famous quote which I'm going to look up I think it was by Buddha. Yeah, about worrying about things. So I'll let you keep the viewers entertained for a minute whilst I think about it. Stay on that topic about worry. Why do you think it's not important? Why do you think it's important not to worry?
I was just going to share. Clifford has come up with a comment. Said, "Without your health, guys, you've got nothing." Thanks for sharing, Clifford. I got to 62 and then had one health issue after another, and it does completely change your retirement plan. So, it is so important that your health, the healthy start of it, because
absolutely,
all the plans that you've got and all the things you want to do. I saw it with my parents. They had plans for traveling to loads of places, and ill health stopped them doing it. and they never went. And you can't ever recapture that. You can't do it again. If your health stops you doing things, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, I'm just gonna type something in the comments, Andy. It links to this. It's my favorite quote by Buddha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in here. So if you just you keep talking, because I'm typing and talking at the same time.
You should cut and paste.
No, I can't. I don't know how to do that on here.
All right.
I don't even know how to do that. How to cut and paste into here? But
yeah, but I think this all this thing about financial, it is about doing things to support, a life which is balanced, enjoyable. And you do things for a reason. You have an intention for doing it, an intention for the outcomes.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important.
Right. There might be spelling mistakes on this, but hopefully we'll get the gist of it. I'm just going to put it into the comments and then show it. There we are. So this is one of my favorite quotes by Buddha, which just links to what Clifford was saying and Cyril was saying. The secret of health for both mind and body is not to mourn for the past, worry about the future, or anticipate troubles, but to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly.
Yeah.
Now, the reason it took me so long is it's a long quote, but you get the gist of it.
Yeah, it's about living for now.
Yeah, and not worrying about something that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, or things that have happened in the past, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's sort of
they've gone.
It's happened. You can't change it. You can't change it.
Can't change it. There's no point having regrets, is there?
No.
If it's happened, maybe it shouldn't have happened. Maybe you could have done something differently. But the one thing you can't do is you can't change that. And
no.
just like it's no good worrying about something in the future.
Yeah.
And you're right, because I do come across a lot of people who are kind of dwelling on mistakes. They're not enjoying today because they're kind of thinking of something that they screwed up in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just think that is it's such a shame. I've made so many mistakes in my life. It's unreal. So many mistakes, huge ones, massive ones.
Yeah.
Some of them cost me chunks of money that I would rather not have lost. But and am I bothered? No. Yeah. Was I bothered at the time? Oh yeah, I was really angry with myself. Am I bothered now at 63 years of age about some screw up that I made when I was 48 or 49? No. Not bothered. Not bothered. Couldn't care less. It happened. I'll try to make sure I don't do it again.
Yeah.
Because these things are supposed to be experiments. Because I think if you it's baggage, isn't it, that still hangs around you?
It is. It is baggage, and it's getting rid of that baggage. It is. There should be a sense of release and a sense of doing more things, more purpose, more things that you really want to do.
Yeah.
And that is so, it's so personal. And it's which is why it's really interesting to see the comments from other people, because it is personal, and we talk about things and we differ in some of the things that we think are important, or things we stop doing, or things that we should do. I think it's important to share those, because some of them may resonate. So the discussions we've had, not being so busy, has obviously resonated with you. Some of the stuff about planning's resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it. So I do a little bit more than I used to. But it's about developing. It's about understanding that throughout life you're developing. We keep on developing. We keep on learning. We keep on trying to do new things, and it's good.
So if you were sort of putting a sort of things to stop doing after 50s, so I know learning's an important one for you, isn't it? The growth mindset. So how would you phrase that as a stop? Stop neglecting learning opportunities, or what is that? Is that it? In other words, you're not finished, are you, by any stretch of the imagination? There's still a lot to learn. There's still a lot you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's don't. I think it's don't. It's stop neglecting learning. So it's
Yes.
keeping mentally active. It's exploring interests. It's keeping up with what's going on. It may be world events. It may be all sorts of different things. But it's it's the things that are important to you. But it's stopping doing the things that aren't. But learning is so I think mental health is as Buddha said, secret of health of both mind and body. It is your mind as well. Your body is one part of it, but your mind, you've got to keep your mind active. You've got to keep your mind going. It's a muscle that needs to be used and exercised. Same as going out walking, same as going to the gym, whatever it is that you do. And it's so important that you do that, because otherwise, you lose your mind. That's not going to be good.
No, that's certainly true. I think the thing we were talking about this earlier before we came online, continuing to have an inquiring mind. So stop being closed-minded.
Yeah, being curious.
Yeah, be open-minded, be curious, continue to learn, and seek new opportunities. And new things, and whatever shape or form that takes. Because the thing about when you get past 50, it's not. We talk about retirement. Retirement takes different forms for different people.
Yeah,
and you don't have to retire. You if you want to start a business, and there's been a lot of very successful business people who've started businesses in their 60s. Back to the one about your health, Andy. Colonel Sanders and KFC.
Yeah.
And then there was the other bloke, I can't remember his name, Ray Kroc, who founded McDonald's.
Yeah.
So you can, if you want to do that, that's fine. The only thing I think is that just be careful not to neglect, family, friends, and other things in the pursuit of some corporate dream.
Definitely.
But I engaged with a guy on LinkedIn who'd retired, and then he'd gone back into he launched a business when he was 66.
Yeah,
because he was bored. He was bored, and he said something to me, and I made a note of it, that he didn't just want to fade away, basically, and that was it. Those were his words. I mean, you've been a consultant and things like that, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I won't write it this time because it'll probably take me too long to write it. But what he basically said, this is what he said: consultancy paid the bills, but felt like quietly fading into the woodwork. I wanted to go out with a bang. It was the last chapter in my career, and he was 66. I didn't want to end it on a boring note.
Yeah, and I think it's important that you understand what drives you, and he obviously did.
Yeah.
Just look at the time, Nick. We're coming up for an hour and a quarter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I noticed there were a few viewers kind of parachuting in, so I just thought we might keep going. Have you been reading your private chats, Andy? Oh, hang on a minute. Andy's got to go. He's told me to start wrapping up because I'm going on holiday. What he really means is that Tina has given him has laid down the law to him, and she wants him finished by 6 o'clock.
Too right, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Andy, come on now. We know the truth. Right. No worries. Yeah, that's fine. Well, look, that's we will wrap up, Andy. I think we've kind of come to the end of it anyway. For everybody who has joined us to watch, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've found it useful. Andy, have you got anything to add before we sign off?
No, just thank you. It's just an interesting chat as per normal, Nick, and thank you for everybody who contributed. It's good to see other people's views and opinions.
Yeah, and if you did miss it, then this video will be going live on my channel, or onto my channel, not live, but can be watched at your convenience. So even after that, please comment and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Right, Andy. So does that mean next week you're in Venice?
No, I'm back on Tuesday, so we should be able to do this again next Wednesday.
Oh, excellent. Great. We'll have to think about the next topic. Anyway, so thanks very much, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers.